And we are live for Game 2's coverage here on the ECC Network between the Dolphins and the Spartans. The Dolphins took Game 1 and a very high-scoring affair between them and Stack, 14-11. CSI picking up their 8th conference win of the season. And we'll look for the sweep of this doubleheader here today. It's a first pitch swing and a miss strike for Ryan Hillary, and he's quickly down to count 0-1. Just recently at softball, so had to make a quick introduction here before getting on to today's contest between the Dolphins and the Spartans for Game 2. As I mentioned, Ryan Hillary is the leadoff hitter, batting in for the second time as well. Count now is 2-1. Alex Martinez gets the mound for the Dolphins here today. We'll give you his stats on the season in just a moment time. That one in there for a strike, and the count now is even at 2 apiece. In Game 1 for Hillary, he went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Let that come from behind for Stack, trying to make that a game. A very seesaw type of game that we saw in Game 1 between the two teams. As he hits that one foul. Dolphins jumped out after trailing by 1. An 8-run third inning gave the Dolphins the lead. Stack then made things interesting with a 5-run fifth. That made it 8-6. They would make it 8-7 on a sac fly in the 6th. But 2 home runs in the third inning for the Dolphins in the 6th. One from Vigliotti, one from Leno being a 2-run homer gave them a 11-6 lead, or 11-7, excuse me, as Hillary's down swinging on the strikeout, 1 away in this first inning. Dolphins will get 1 more in the 7th, 2 more in the 8th, that one in the 7th being the Palomini home run. Palomini would add 2 more in the 8th. The Dolphins' lead got trimmed down to 3 in the 9th, but Ryan Fiore got the save and gave the Dolphins the victory in that one. The final 14-11 in Game 1. A 7-inning game here in Game number 2. Spartans really need this game more than ever. Count 1-0 here. At the plate for the Spartans is Anthony DeMarco. He gets to start behind the plate in this one. Had a very nice Game 1. And he's quickly up in the count 2-0. In Game 1, DeMarco was 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. He had the first 2 RBIs for the Spartans in that game. Quickly with an early hitters count here at 2-0. And he hits that one high in the infield towards third. The catch will be made by the shortstop Flashner, and there is now 2 away. The lineup follows for Stack in this game. Ryan Hillary leads off. He's batting first, playing second. Batting second behind the plate is Anthony DeMarco. Batting third, and at third is Kyle DeCress. Batting fourth and in the cleanup spots, the first baseman Ryan Appel. Batting fifth, the designated hitter is Michael Zeiss. Batting sixth on that short is Chris Ewing. Batting seventh and in right field is Joseph Scamardella. Batting the 7th spot, batting 8th. And in left field is number 29, Ben Moscatello. And batting 9th and in center field is David Potenza. As I mentioned, Alex Martinez gets the mound for the Dolphins today. His stats on the season: his 9th appearance, his 6th start. He is 3-3 on the year, 32 innings pitched, 40 hits, 21 runs, 17 earned, 10 walks, 32 strikeouts. An ERA of 4.78. It's been a very nice year for Martinez, who we were usually accustomed to seeing in the later inning role for the Dolphins last year. Has now transitioned himself into a starting caliber pitcher here in the year 2025. It's now a 1-2 count here in the first against DeCress. And he hits that one towards second. Rodriguez on to first base in time, and that will retire the side. It's a 1-2-3 top of the first inning for Alex Martinez. We now head to the home first inning. The Dolphins coming to bat for the first time in this game against the Spartans.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Bottom half of the first inning here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins coming to bat for the first time in this one, as they will face the starting pitcher for the Spartans in this one, Aiden Cardenas. Cardenas gets the start today for the Spartans. We'll give you his stats in just a moment's time. Chris Palomini will lead off for the Dolphins here. A very big game one for him. 4 RBIs for him in that contest. Now, I mentioned towards the end of that broadcast, originally we thought Palomini had 5 RBIs, but looking back at that play in the third inning where he had a bases clearing single and advanced to second on an error, 2 runs were unearned in that spot for Palomini. That took one of his RBIs away. He finishes game one with 4. So right now, and if you look at the record books, instead of the 40 that I originally thought he had, he's now into 13th, tied for 13th all the time, with 39 RBIs this season. And he might have gotten a chance to get 40 right there. That one's in the left. He has done it again. Chris Palomini with another home run. Make it number 12, a baker's dozen, and the Dolphins lead 1-0. Palomini has done it again. 12 home runs on the season, 2nd home run today, and now he officially has his 40th RBI of the season. Right on cue, as I was talking about one of those RBIs being taken away, he takes it right back with one swing of the bat. And Jack Keogh now comes up with a quick 1-0 count. Second look at that last home run. As Keogh chops that one in the infield. Tough play for the second baseman, and they do get him in time for the first out of the inning. So a nice bounce back by Cardenas right there. Awards him the first out of this first. Now bring up A.J. Vigliani. For Cardenas on the season, this will be his 9th appearance of the year. He is 2-0. He's pitched 18 of the third inning, 17 hits, 7 runs, all those earned, 8 walks, 12 strikeouts, an ERA of 3.44. He's been very good for the Spartans this season. But an early home run from Palomini has put the Dolphins up early 1-0 in this contest. That home run, that RBI now puts him tied for 12th on the all-time RBI runs list for this season in terms of home runs. I mentioned this as well I can assure you this stat is correct for this game. For home runs in the season, I mentioned it, in sole possession of second place, and he is now creeping in on tying the all-time record for most home runs in the season. And speaking of home runs, A.J. Vigliotti was taking a home run cut right there. Count now goes to 2-1. Vigliotti hit a home run in Game 1, that being his 4th home run of the season. Looking for number 5 on that last swing. 2-1. Off-speed pitch on the outside for a strike. 2-2 now the count. Palomini now 2 home runs away from tying the record, which was 14 hit back in 1997 by Jason Anarumo. As Vigliotti hits that one foul towards the parking lot. As I mentioned as well with his RBIs, with now 40 on the season, has a chance today to maybe earn himself to go into the top 5. If he gets 3 more RBIs in this contest, he'll be tied for 5th for most RBIs in the season. Vigliotti bloops that one into right center. That one's going to drop in for a base hit. A.J. Vigliotti is on with a 1-out single, and the Dolphins have a 1-out base runner. J.J. Hunter now comes up to the plate. Think about this for Vigliotti. Last game, 3 for 3 at the plate. Also walked twice, a 5 for 5 day effectively. Hunter last game was 0 for 4. Was hit by a pitch as well in that game. And for his sake, was able to stay into the game, which is a good sign for the Dolphins. It's now 1-0 here. Vigliotti now has reached base 6 times in all 6 plate appearances he's had today in this doubleheader. Count now 2-0 here to Hunter. Dolphins had an offer from both Hunter and Keogh in Game 1, as well as Waterman. And we're still able to put up a very high run production in that game. The 2-0. Hunter hits that one into foul territory. Will be playable, and it goes out of play. Running out of room with that third base line was DeCrest. Count now goes to 2-1. Mentioned I was over at softball a few minutes ago. We'll see if we have an update from softball. Last time I looked, it was 5-1. That's when I left the softball complex. Not sure there's any updates since. As the count now goes to 2-2. Well, there is an update. It's not looking good for the Dolphins. They now head into the bottom of the 7th, trailing 7-1. With Mercy picking up some big wins against Duville today, the Dolphins now really need to pick up a game, probably maybe even 2 against Mercy on Tuesday, and that doubleheader against the Mavericks. It's now a full count here to Hunter. I'm sure Joe and I will talk about more about the Dolphins' playoff hopes when he joins me on the broadcast once he's done wrapped up at softball. They're heading into the bottom of the 7th right now. 3-2. Hunter just got a piece of it foul until the Dolphin dugout. Cardenas looking for a big strikeout right here. The 3-2. He does get the strikeout as he retires Hunter for the second out of the inning. So Cardenas gets the strikeout, 2 gone, and that'll bring up J.J. Waterman, or Jada Waterman, excuse me. That was J.J. Hunter recently at the plate. Got my names mixed up right there. Apologies in advance. Jada Waterman, as I mentioned, 0 for 4 in Game 1. His first career home run on Thursday against Stack at Stack. Looking to keep the inning going for the Dolphins here with 2 outs in the first. Vigliotti dancing over at first at 0-1. In there for a strike now, 0-2. Now 0-2 to the Dolphin left fielder. He chops that one foul down the third base line. Quickly, the Dolphin lineup. Palomini led it off at center. Keogh back in right field, batting second. Vigliotti batting third and at first. Hunter batting fourth, the designated hitter. Waterman Curley at the plate, batting fifth and in left. Flasher batting sixth and at short. TJ Leno batting seventh and at third. Yandel Brito batting eighth and at catcher. And Nico Rodriguez batting ninth and at second. The Dolphins with a similar lineup, but a different catcher in game number 2. As Waterman swings and misses for strike 3, and that will retire the side. Dolphins straight a base runner here in the first inning, but not before Chris Palomini adds to his home run season. Number 12 on the year, number 40 as well as RBIs. The Dolphins now have a 1-0 lead as we head to the top of the second inning.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Ryan Appel will lead it off here in the top of the second inning. Takes a first pitch strike from Alex Martinez, and it's quickly an 0-1 count. And now 1-0 lead for CSI here in this contest. Chris Palomini with number 12 on the season. Now officially with 40 RBIs on the year as well. And with a lot more baseball left in the season, he's got a really good chance to potentially break the all-time record for most home runs in the season. Look exactly how many games left the Dolphins have this season. Count now is 1-1. And Appel takes that one low for a ball, 2-1 now to count. So after today, and Palomini still has a couple more at-bats today, so you never know. He's already had a multi-homer game. He's actually had 2, now that I think about it, this season. Dolphins are back at Stack on Monday. Heroes Day this Thursday against Felician. They're then at Dominican on April 29th. And then they wrap up their year in a 4-game set against Deauville. As Appel hits that one up the middle, and that one is through for a leadoff single. So Ryan Appel gets on with the leadoff hit. Michael Zeiss now comes up. You saw him hit a 3-run homer at the end of game 1. That made the game 14-11. So we know he has the home run capability. One swing could give his team the lead. That was his first home run of the season, that home run back in game number 1. Shows bunt, but it goes foul. How to be very careful here with the press box. Open up a couple more windows. It's a very hot day here on Staten Island. So, trying to catch any breeze we could potentially get here. But with that, we also have to be worrisome of the papers. Can't lose those. Some of our rosters, some of our papers for our equipment. So we gotta make sure we don't lose that. Martinez checked the runner Appel first. He was back in safely. It's still 0-1 here to the batter, Zeiss. He takes a big swing and a miss on that pitch low, and the count goes to 0-2. And it looks like they've wrapped up at softball. A 7-1 victory for Malloy in that game. So the Dolphins split the doubleheader with the Lions. And they will need some big wins on Tuesday against Mercy to keep their playoff hopes alive in softball. We'll talk a little bit more about softball once my broadcast partner Joe Foreman makes his way towards the baseball press box. In the meantime here, that one in the dirt, and Brito is not able to scoop it up. And the wild pitch will afford Appel to go to second base. So now Zeiss has an RBI opportunity if he's able to deliver a base hit right here. Dribbles that one foul towards the stacked dugout. Zeiss, I mentioned, hit that home run in game one. What a day he had at the plate. 3 for 5 with 6 RBIs. A monster game one for Zeiss, looking for another RBI right here and tie this game. And that one's in there for strike 3. Had to wait just a second. The umpire with a very delayed strike call. But Martinez is able to get Zeiss looking on the strikeout. And there's now one away. So nice job by Martinez. Gets the punch hitter right there for the first out of the inning. And with one down the inning, that will bring up Chris Ewing. Ewing in game one went 0 for 4. Looking for some redemption here in game two as he takes that first pitch for a strike. 0-1 the count. The 0-1. In the dirt, good stop behind the plate by Brito. And the count goes to 1-1. Martinez looks back over to second, the 1-1. On the outside for ball 2. And now 2-1 count here against the Spartan shortstop. A long look, the 2-1. That one hit into right field and through for a base hit. We'll see if they send the runner home. They will not. Keogh throws it toward the cutoff man. It got past Vigliotti, but Brito is there to back it up. So they will hold Appel over at third. It's a one-out base hit right there off the bat of Ewing. Now Joseph Scamardella will have an opportunity right here to try to bring home that runner from third. Dolphins double play ball away from getting out of the inning as well. First pitch from Martinez. In the inside for a ball 1-0. In game one, Stack was the team that drew blood first with an RBI single in the first inning. The Dolphins then rallied for 8 runs in the third and would hold on to the lead from there on in. The Dolphins drew blood first in this game. And now Stack's looking to have a run in here in the third, or in the second, I should say, and they will get their first run of this game via the wild pitch. Advancing to second base as well is Ewing, and it's now a 1-1 game. So a very costly wild pitch right there for Martinez. Will afford Stack their first run of this contest. Count now goes to 3-0 on Scamardella, who gets the start here in Game 2. Did not play in Game 1. Quick hitters count here, and he will get a 4-pitch walk. So Scamardella gets a 4-pitch walk. He's on first base. And some trouble here for Alex Martinez now in the inning. First and second, still only one out. And that will lead to a mound visit here from John Esposito. The batter now at the plate is Ben Moscatella. Moscatello started Game 1 in right field. He was 1 for 3. He had a walk as well as scored in a run. Also made a nice diving catch as well out in right field. And with a base hit right here, can give his team their first lead here in Game 2. Now visit is over between Esposito and Martinez, and Mascatello will now come up to the plate. Dolphins once again are a double play ball away from getting out of the inning. That pitch is in there for a strike. The count goes to 0-1. With the results of that first game, the Dolphins jumped their record in the ECC to now 8-6 in conference play. Stack with their loss dropped to 4-10. The moment Stack is right now behind Deauville and Queens. In the conference standings, Deauville beat Queens earlier today. So Deauville now effectively has the last spot in the ECC standings at 6-6. Queens now drops to 5-7. They're a full game back of Deauville. Meanwhile, for Stack, they are now effectively 3 games back of Deauville. 2 back in the win column, 4 back in the loss column. We'll see what the results were of their earlier doubleheader. And we saw, if you look at the schedule as well, the 2 teams split. A hit and run right there for the Spartans, but Mascatello hits that one foul. Cal remains 1-2. So back on March 28th and 29th, Stack played a doubleheader against Deauville. They lost the first 2 at Deauville, then won the next 2 at Deauville. So Stack was able to get at least the split. So you do not have to worry about the tiebreaker on that one. It's now 2-2 on the count here. In terms of them against Queens, we mentioned this earlier in Game 1. Stack will end their season against Queens in a 4-game set, 2 at Queens, 2 at Stack. So even if Stack were to lose this game, they're not effectively out. But they will need to pick up some games. They'll need to at least pick up the game on Monday against the Dolphins. And then they'll have to win 2, maybe even 3 against Queens to end the year. And they will also need some help from outside teams against Deauville. And as I mentioned earlier on as well in Game 1, the Dolphins will play Deauville to end the season. Deauville also has to play Malloy before that as well. And that one's in there for strike 3. A big punch out for Martinez as Mascatello is down looking. And there's now 2 away here in the second. And now I'll bring up David Potenza in the 9 spot with 2 gone. In Game 1, Potenza was 1 for 5. I mentioned in Game 1 leads the team in home runs. Get an RBI hit right here with 2 gone. As he takes a big swing and a miss for a strike, 0-1 the count. So loss today, if we'll see how the rest of this game goes. But Stack would love to have this game. Now have to put as much pressure on them the next week. Drilled down the left field line. That is a base hit. Potenza will bring home at least 1. It will give Stack the lead. Here comes the second runner. He will score as well. David Potenza delivers on a 2-run double, and Stack has taken a 3-1 lead here in the second. Potenza, as I mentioned, in the number 9 spot, leads the team in home runs. One of the top leaders as well in RBIs, and he delivers another big hit right there for the Spartans at a game that you could make the case they very much need. They take a 3-1 lead now in this one. It's now Ryan Hillary back to the top of the lineup for the Spartans. That one in there for a ball, 1-0 the count. Potenza now with 19 RBIs on the season. Ties him for the team lead with Chris Ewing with 19. A huge hit early in this game, but keep in mind, this is a 7-inning game as well. So still a lot of time for the Dolphins now to fight their way back into this one. But for Stack to jump out to a 3 spot here in this inning definitely helps them as they try to keep their playoff hopes going and keep those odds at a decent number. Here comes the 1-1. That one hit foul behind the plate, and it's now 1-2. There is action going up in the Dolphin bullpen. It looks like Gerard Santos warming up for CSI. So we'll see how long Martinez goes in this game. As I mentioned, another game on Monday. They'll have the off day tomorrow for the Easter holiday. Martinez giving a long look to Potenza, but no throw there. Dolphins, of course, having to be careful. They had a balk that happened in their last game against Adelphi. There goes Potenza, and there will be no throw. That throw almost going to the backstop. Good stop by Brito, but Potenza is in there safely. That's now his 15th stolen base of the season. That, of course, leads his team. He's only been caught once this year. And now the count goes to 2-2. 2-2 to Hillary. He hits that one to third. Leno is there. He'll throw it onto first base in time, and that will retire the side. So the Spartans do strand a runner here in the top of the second, but not before they bring home 3 runs of the inning. The brunt of it coming from a 2-run double from David Potenza. We head to the home second. Stack leads this one, 3-1.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Michael Flasher leads it off here in the home second for CSI. They now trail this game 3-1. A wild pitch and a 2-run single from David Potenza gives Stack now a 3-1 lead. So we have a rare lefty-lefty matchup, and we'll actually have 2 straight lefty-lefty matchups to start the inning. As that first pitch to Flashner's on the outside for a strike, the count goes to 0-1. Very nice game one for Flashner at the plate. He was 2 for 5. Had that 2-run single that gave the Dolphins a 3-1 lead in that contest. Some nice plays as well at short as he drills that one foul down the left field line. The count goes to 0-2. It'll be Flashner, Leno, and Brito up in the inning for the Dolphins. That'd be 6, 7, and 8 up for CSI. Now it misses high and inside. The count goes to 1-2. Mentioned Cardenas' numbers on the season. He's had a nice year for this stacked pitching rotation. And I mentioned at the end of game one, they really needed this game. As Flasher just able to hit that one foul behind the plate on that off-speed pitch. But after losing game one, you had to think Stack was going to go to their very best in this game. Cardenas, you could definitely make the notion that he is the best pitcher on this staff. A low ERA, 2-0 record. He's not pitched many innings, but he does get the punch out right there over Flashner. And there is one gone here in the second.
Now batting the third baseman, number 10, T.J. Leno.
Cardenas, after giving up the leadoff homer to Palomini, has now kind of settled into this game. As it brings up T.J. Leno, and what about a game for Leno in game number one? Leno was 3 for 5. All 3 hits were extra base hits. 2 doubles, a towering 2-run homer into right field, a 4 RBI day for him at third base. And he's earned himself another start here in game number 2. So that one in there for a strike count, even at 1. It'll now be 1-1 here to the Dolphin third baseman. Takes a big swing and a miss on the inside. And the count goes to 1-2. Now 1-2 here for Cardenas versus Leno. And Leno drills that one foul and out of play. We'll do it once again here on 1-2. On the outside, and just misses. Count now evens at 2 apiece. Looked like for a second the home plate umpire was about to call strike 3. But looks like he thought about it for a second. 2-2 now the count. And it's a big swing and a miss for Leno for strike 3. So back-to-back punch-outs for Cardenas to start the second. And there's now 2 gone.
Now batting the catcher, number 27, Yandel Brito.
Yandel Brito comes up now, 2 gone in the inning. Brito got the start on Thursday. Was 1 for 6 in that game with an RBI. Did not start in game 1 of today's doubleheader. Gets to start here in game 2. Look the sparks on there for the Dolphins here with 2 outs. That one misses badly on the outside for a ball. The count now even at 1. The Dolphins' 8-run third inning back in game 1. All of those runs came with 2 outs. So the Dolphins, we know, are certainly capable of getting 2-out hits and keeping the inning going. They had a runner on third at that point. They have no one on here. And the count now goes to 2-1. Two and 1 now the count for the Dolphin catcher. And that one again misses high and outside for ball 3. So 3-1 now the count here for Brito. Has a chance to work a walk. And they send the inning for CSI, which will bring Nico Rodriguez, who's on deck. The 3-1. And that one misses for ball 4. DeMarco looked behind the plate, thought that one was going to get in there for the strike. But the home plate umpire calls ball 4. It's a 2-out walk drawn by Brito. And that'll bring up Nico Rodriguez now. Rodriguez in game 1, 1 for 2. Scored twice, has also walked twice. If he's able to get on. Man, the hour is on deck for CSI. Is that one in there for a strike? The count goes to 0-1. Cardenas definitely wants to make sure that Palomini does not come up with runners on base. That is definitely the goal right now of the inning for him. The 0-1 in the dirt. A good stop behind the plate by DeMarco. The count goes to 1-1. One and one now the count here for the Dolphins second baseman. He hits that one over to third. DeCrest is there, and he will make the play to first base and retire the side. So the Dolphins straight a runner here in the home second. We get to the top of the third here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Stack leads this one 3-1. Anthony DeMarco, first pitch swinging, gets a leadoff single to start off the top of the third inning. A nice start to the inning here for Stack. They still lead this game 3-1. Alex Martinez still on the mound for the Dolphins in this one. We'll see if the Dolphins do make the pitching change. As I mentioned, Gerard Santos is up in the Dolphin bullpen. Kyle DeCrest is the batter now. With a runner on first, still nobody out in the inning. DeMarco's hit gives now Stack 4 hits in this one. Half swing. The count, it goes to 1-0. It's a 2-0 count now here for Kyle DeCrest. The 2-0. In there for a strike 2-1. So my broadcast partner Joe Foreman is about to leave for his watch party for WrestleMania. For all of our wrestling fans here on the baseball broadcast, before he leaves, I need to ask him real quick. You told me the scenario for softball coming into this next weekend. And we'll have to relay that towards our CSI fans before he made his departure towards Long Island. If he has enough time, maybe he'll be able to hop on the headset for a second. A 3-1 count now here for DeCrest. And you think if Martinez walks him right here, that might be all for him in this game today. It's 3-1 now the count, as Martinez will throw it back to first base. And Bigliotti saved it from going in to foul territory. The 3-1. DeCrest hits that one over towards short, and no easy play for the Dolphins. That one's into left field for a base hit. DeCrest is on with the single, and now moves the runner to second as well. First and second, still nobody out in the inning for the Spartans. There's some early trouble here for Alex Martinez. Two 2-0 now the count here. 1 out in the third. Michael Zeiss takes a big swing and a miss for the strike. The count goes to 2-1. So here is the scenarios for the Dolphins for the remaining season for the softball team. They have to sweep Mercy and take 1 or 2 from Deauville. If they lose both to Mercy, then they have to sweep Deauville. If they take 1 of 2 from Mercy, they have to sweep Deauville as well. So 3 scenarios for the Dolphins next week at softball. Joe and I will be talking about that next week, especially on Tuesday for that doubleheader against the Mavericks. But it effectively looks like the Dolphins, if they get the sweep, make it a little bit easier on themselves against Deauville. If they take 1 of 2, then they have to sweep the Saints to keep their season going. Meanwhile, here at baseball, the Dolphins 8-6 in second place in the ECC, looking to increase their record, but they're in trouble here in game number 2. The 3-1 to Zeiss, and that one misses for ball 4. So Martinez has now walked the bases loaded here. Still 1 out of the inning. And Chris Ewing has a chance to open this game up with 1 swing. Ewing already today has had himself a nice base hit. The base hit right here, as I mentioned, could open up this game early in this one. A 7-inning contest between these two teams. As he drills that one foul and out of play. So I originally said Joe Foreman would be joining me on the broadcast. We might have Joe Calabrese joining me on the broadcast for the duration of this contest here today, depending on his schedule for the rest of the day. He's also a big wrestling fan. He'll be watching along at WrestleMania as well tonight. That one hit to third and over the jumping Lano and into left field for a base hit. That will bring home at least 2, and that's where they'll stand at 2. It is a 2-run double off the bat of Chris Ewing, and it's now a 5-1 lead for Stack in this game. And that's one where the Dolphins' defensive alignment really hurt them at the end of the day. Lano was in a little bit, protecting maybe a potential bunt. I really don't see them bunting in that spot. But he was in a potential infield single down the third base line, and because of him in, he wasn't in the normal defensive play for that one at third base. It allowed the ball to go over his head and his glove, and allowed 2 more runs for the Spartans in this game, as they now have to move the infield in fully. It's now a 5-1 lead for Stack in this game. A big hit for Ewing. As I mentioned, an 0-for in Game 1. Now delivers a 2-run single here in Game 2. The 1-0. In there for a strike, 1-1 to count. Dolphins not making the pitching change as of now. Martinez is still in the game. But if he were to give up another hit right here, that would probably end his day. Dolphins are hoping that they can keep this a 4-run contest. Big swing and a miss right there. As the count now goes to 1-2. Joseph Scamardella at the batter at the plate. Scamardella 0 for, should say, does not have an official bat. Walked his first time and scored a run on a wild pitch. He hits that one into shallow left. It will not be deep enough, or it might be deep enough as it drops in the outfield. Flashner was not able to make the play. That will go down as a base hit. And it will go down as a 6-1 lead now for the Spartans. Waterman had no play in left field. It was too shallow enough to make the play. Flasher was in on the infield because of the potential, trying to avoid the run from scoring. And because of him in on that play, he was not able to make the over-the-shoulder catch. Hey, now 6-1 lead for Stack in this game. Two 2-0 now the count here. Ben Mascatello at the plate. Now misses in the dirt for ball 3. Some tough breaks in the inning for Martinez. That little chopper over to third base. A blooper into left field. Prolonged the inning and given Stack now another 3 spot. 3 in the second, now 3 in the third. And now a 5-run lead in this game. In there for a strike now, 3-1 to count. The 3-1. That one hit into left. Once again into shallow left field. And that one will be caught by Waterman. A nice diving catch out in left by Waterman will get the Dolphins the second out of the inning. Looked like it was going to be trouble once again for the Dolphins. Flasher trying to make the catch. Waterman having to run in. He just made the catch at the very tail end. So now 2 gone. Here in the top of the third, and that'll bring up David Potenza. Potenza responsible for giving Stack the lead back with that 2-run single in the second. There's 2 runners on once again here with 2 outs in the third. Okay, in the dirt, good stop by Brito, and the count goes to 1-0. So we talked about the softball scenarios. We'll talk more about that on Tuesday. Sure, by next Thursday, when we have Heroes Day here for CSI, that'll be at SIUH Community Park. Dolphins playoff picture and playoff scenarios will become a lot more clearer after this 4-game set with the Spartans. So that one just missed on the outside. Dolphins were wondering where that pitch missed. It's now 2-0. Quickly now 3-0 here for Martinez. He's in danger of loading the bases with the top of the lineup coming up for the Spartans on deck. And that will be the case. Potenza walks on 4 straight. That will load the bases and will most likely lead to a pitching change for the Dolphins here in the third. It looks like it will be Gerard Santos coming out for CSI here in the top of the third inning. Comes into a big spot for the Dolphins. They trail this game 6-1. Ryan Hillary coming up to the bat with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Gerard Santos comes on here in the top of the third. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Ryan Hillary, the batter at the plate, takes ball 1, 1-0 the count. Or excuse me, correction, that was strike 1. Again, once again, the home plate umpire fooling me behind the plate. But Hillary has another RBI opportunity in this game, or this doubleheader today. This is on the outside, 1-1 now to count. Give you Gerard Santos' numbers on the season. Saw him in relief against Adelphi this past week. I have those stats. We'll bring them up on the next pitch. It's a 1-1 count here. That one in there for a strike, 1-2. Santos on the year, his 12th appearance. He has a record of 0-4, 28 1/3 of an inning, 53 hits, 41 runs, 36 earned, 18 walks, 24 strikeouts on the season. Had a rough start to the early year. I mentioned that Adelphi relief appearance last time was good. Something the Dolphins really needed to see to try to build confidence back into the pitcher after a very nice campaign he had last season. It's a 1-2 count here. One strike away from keeping the bases loaded and keeping the Dolphins in this game. Hillary with one swing looking to open up this game and make it an insurmountable comeback for the Dolphins potentially. In the dirt, good stop by Brito, and the count now evens at 2. Not an easy spot, as I mentioned, for Santos to come into this game with the bases loaded. Team is trailing by 5 and in a 7-inning game as well. If a base hit happens right here for Hillary, the Dolphins could be running out of time to come back into this game. That one hit up the middle, and that one will get through for a base hit. That one will bring home 2 more runs for the Spartans. Ryan Hillary delivers on a 2-run single and now gives his team an 8-1 lead here in the 3rd inning. Santos having to make a quick reaction towards that play as that ball was hit right up the middle. Was not able to put the glove on the ball. And no chance for the middle infielders to make the play as well. It's an easy 2-run single, and it's now a 5-run 3rd inning for Stack in this one, as they have now scored 8 unanswered, kind of similar to what we saw in Game 1. The Dolphins were down 1. They scored 8 unanswered. The Spartans were down 1 in this one. They've now scored 8 unanswered. As the count goes to 1-0, Anthony DeMarco at the plate. DeMarco today has already had himself a hit. He's 1 for 2 in this contest. Swings and misses at that ball in the dirt. The count goes to 1-1. I mentioned if the Dolphins were to lose this game, it won't hurt them in terms of the standings this year. They would still be into 2nd place in the ECC. And still 4 more conference games left this season. Dolphins are in a great position right now to make the playoffs. They just have to make sure that they can avoid any further damage, but they're in a bad spot once again as DeMarco is hit by the pitch, and that will load the bases for the 2nd time in the inning. Kyle DeCrest will now come up. Bases loaded, still 2 outs. DeCrest already has himself a hit as well in this game. He is 1 for 2. Chops that one down the first base line. Santos is the only one that make the play. He will make the play in time, and that will retire the side. Spartans strand the bases loaded here in the 3rd inning, but not before they bring home 5 runs in this top of the 3rd. We head to the home 3rd inning. Stack leads this one 8-1.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
And we are back for the home third here at the CSI Baseball Complex. A change in the score, as well as a change in the broadcasting team. 8-1 lead for Stack, and I am joined by my broadcast partner, Joe Calabrese. First time you and I are on the broadcast together, and you get the rest of this action here today as the Dolphins now trail this game by 7.
Yeah, Joe Foreman hogs all the airtime. I'm not appreciative of that. But listen, I was down the hill doing public address for our women's softball team.
I'm sure they heard you on the broadcast here.
Yes, we split 2 games with Mola University. And I just decided to make my way back up the hill here and join you for some great CSI men's baseball action.
Dolphins hopefully can pull another come-from-behind victory. They've already had a 7-run come-from-behind victory this season, but with not a lot of time left in this game, you might have heard me say at the last half-inning, this is only a 7-inning game here in game number 2. So the Dolphins are down to their last couple of outs in this one. Still have some time. Chris Palomini already has a home run in this game. He has the lone run for the Dolphins. His 12th home run of the season coming back all in the first inning. And he's now in the head of the count 3-1. But as I mentioned as well to our viewers at home, Joe, you'll be on the call Thursday with Joe Foreman for Heroes Day when the Dolphins are at SIUH Community Park when they take on Felician University.
So way back early in the season, I was designated to do the broadcast for one of those games. As it happened, the women's softball team asked a request of me as that ball is elevated into center.
And they'll be caught in center field by Potenza, and there's now 1 away in the inning.
So I made the trip with our women's softball team down to Kissimmee, Florida, back in March, the first week of March. So you were the beneficiary of that. You've been on the call here with Joe Foreman for all of CSI Baseball's action this season, and you do an excellent job. I'm very happy to be in the broadcast booth with you. So let's see if we could chip away here a little bit.
Let's see if maybe you spark some kind of rally with you now here in the broadcast team as Jack Keogh comes up and takes that one for a ball 1-0 the count. If they were to make the comeback, I think I would have to give you the shout-out if they make this one.
I think my record over here doing public address for CSI Baseball this season, it's either 4-1 or 5-1. So they tend to hit and produce while I'm here. So let's see if that's the case here. And once again, let's see if they can chip away.
When Joe Foreman joined me earlier for Game 1, as soon as he got here, TJ Lano hit a 2-run homer. And it made sense because sometimes when Joe joins me during the middle of a game and at bat, sometimes a homer does happen. So maybe he has that effect on some of the hitters here at the baseball complex. That one in there for a strike, and it's now 2-1.
One thing we have to test is to see if I give the broadcasters jinx.
Oh, you know what?
I think we're going to need a couple of innings for that, so we'll see how long I do last.
Joe and I have had some commentators jinxes the last couple of years. Some good, some bad. So we'll see if it's the good side or the bad side, especially if you're a Dolphin fan. You're hoping that maybe it's on the good side and the Dolphins can get some kind of, as you mentioned, try to chip away into this game. As the count now 3-1, as there'll be a mound visit coming up here for the Spartans. I was saying earlier as well, Joe, we were having a contest between you and Lou to who would be the loudest at PA. Both of your microphones are very booming, but both have great. You both have great personalities. Great job as well for both of you doing PA, and all of us here at CSI can hear you guys calling the games here for us at public address.
I mean, let's be real. They could, at the very least, they can hear me on Victory Boulevard,
of
which
course.
Is people don't even realize you got to drive just a little bit to get even out to the front entrance in Victory Boulevard. They could probably hear me at St. George at this point.
I made that same joke to Joe, and he said, "You know what? I might as well be the case." Looks like they're going to check to see if Cardenas is okay. It looks like maybe he tweaked something on that last throw. But going back to, as well, for public address, you've obviously done some games here at baseball as well for the Dolphins. They have been red hot as of late. I mentioned second in the ECC standings as of this moment. Their winning Game 1 put them to a record of 8-6 now in conference play. And with a win today, they would even further increase their odds of potentially making the playoffs for the first time in the Division II era in the ECC.
Would be quite the accomplishment as that ball is hit down the left field line, and that's going to be fair for a base hit.
Keogh rounding first, and to second, he's in there with a double.
Great job hustling out of the box. Great turn at first, and extending that from a single to a double.
Well, after an 0 for in Game 1, a rare 0 for from Keogh, he was 0 for 5 in that game. He gets on right here. Or excuse me, he was 0 for 6, I believe, in game 1, now that I think about it. But he's on with a one-out double. And now the Dolphins' main concern is obviously bring home that runner from second, chip away into this game, get back into it with still a couple of innings left to go in this one. Bigliotti hitting a home run in game 1. Would love a home run again here in game 2. And make this a 5-run game with one swing.
He's had a nice year at the plate, and I've seen a lot of great power from him this season. I've been in attendance here. I wasn't here for the first game, obviously, but I've been around here for 3 of his home runs. And as you mentioned before, Palomini with another home run. I was here early in the season where he homered 3 times in a game. So the Dolphins don't lack for power, Nick. It's definitely one thing they don't lack.
I don't remember. Were you here for that 18-16 game against Mercy?
I was not.
Probably the wildest game we've had all year. It was very almost similar to the game we had in game 1 here for this doubleheader. A 14-11 Dolphin win, but a couple of home runs, a lot of hits, good at bats, and a couple, as I mentioned, a lot of good power between these two teams. As Vigliotti, speaking of power, hit that one deep foul into the right field territory. So we have action going up in the bullpen right now for Stack as well as another left-handed pitcher. Could be the same pitcher Rogers that I looked at earlier. So we'll see if that is indeed him.
Trying to decipher the number there. Obviously, it's very difficult from our angle all the way
They have the
up here.
binoculars in the other room, so they should see the number before we see the number.
I'm sure Steph is already on that.
I'm sure she is. They do a great job inside as well. Steph on stats as well as scoreboard today. Lou doing our public address. It's been a big help for me today as I did the first game solo, and now I'm here for game number 2. As that one is in there for a strike. Vigliotti thought he got hit by the pitch.
I honestly thought he got hit by the pitch too, and I don't know if he exchanged words with the home plate umpire,
he certainly
but he definitely
did.
said something, and we can go back on the replay and check to see if that was the case.
He certainly had some words.
I definitely think that grazed him and hit him. So
it's one of the warm-up balls from the bullpen went into the field of play, so time is called.
Stack catching a little bit of a break there.
I can't tell if obviously he had to have swung for even to make it a strike, because that was going to be ball 4.
So this is the part where I analyze the game. Usually if you're at the plate and you get hit, and you get hit, you'll plead your case.
3-2 now. It's chopped up the middle. Will that get through? It will get through. It's a base hit. That will easily score Keogh from second. AJ Vigliotti will get the best of the at-bat. He gets himself an RBI single. It's now an 8-2 lead for Stack.
Nick, am I allowed to say ball don't lie, or is that showing a little bit of bias?
Well, we do like to show no bias in our broadcast, but if you want to say ball don't lie, I won't stop you.
So let's give Vigliotti credit where credit is due. On the very next pitch, he put that ball in play that hit the mound, so it took a little bit of a funky bounce. And because it took a little bit of that funky bounce and it was hit hard enough, it was able to get through to center for a base hit and another CSI run.
Yeah, you want to talk about funky bounces? We had a very funky bounce in left field in game 1 that allowed the Dolphins to get, at that time, would have been 2 runs. They got 3 runs after a weird bounce in left field, and that really opened the gates for the Dolphins in that inning, giving them the 8-1 lead they had. Hunter hits that one foul behind the plate. The count goes to 1-1. And in game 1, I mentioned it, the Dolphins were down 1. They scored 8 unanswered to take the lead. Stack then made it an 8-7 game. The Dolphins were able to hold on after that. 1-0 lead for the Dolphins in this game. 8 unanswered for Stack. Can now CSI make this a 1-run game at some point? That is a wild pitch, and that will allow Vigliotti to go to second base.
Just like that, the Dolphins have another runner in scoring position.
And certainly the guy you want up at the plate in an RBI spot. Hunter's had himself a great freshman campaign. Him and Jack Keogh have been great additions to this team, and as I mentioned in game 1, there are 2 big reasons why the Dolphins are in the position right now that they are in the ECC standings. Count now is 2-1 here to Hunter. On the outside, will stay in front of DeMarco for a ball, but the count now goes 3-1. So now 3-1 here. If Hunter gets on, He'll bring up Jaden Waterman, who's on deck. The 3-1. And that one is low for ball 4. So that might lead to a pitching change here for the Spartans. Hunter is on with the 1-out walk. He'll be first and second for CSI, still one gone. As I mentioned, Jaden Waterman comes up to the plate. See if that pitching change is indeed going to be the case. And we do see the reliever coming out from the bullpen out in right field. So the Spartans will make a pitching change here in the third. The Dolphins will have first and second, 1 out in the inning. They now trail this game 8-2. Jaden Waterman comes up to the plate with a new pitcher coming into the mound for the Spartans.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Count 1-0 here to Jaden Waterman. Takes that first pitch on the outside. And I was right about the pitching change, Joe. It is Kyle Rogers on in relief here for the Spartans with an 8-2 lead. First and second, still 1 out in the inning. That one in there for a strike, count 1-1. Try to look up Rogers' numbers as well while we have a moment of time. It's a 1-1 count. I'll give you the numbers after this next pitch. It's a long look towards second. 1-1. Breaking ball in there for a strike, 1-2. For Rogers this season, this is his 9th appearance of the season. He is 1-2. He has 2 saves as well in the year. 12 1/3 of an inning. He's allowed 15 hits, 13 runs, 9 earned, 12 walks, and 13 strikeouts with an ERA of 6.57. As Waterman will hit that one, we'll say into fair territory. It will. It's dropped! But they will get the play at third. And the infield fly rule was in effect, so it doesn't matter.
So we have some confusion over here.
Yeah, a lot of confusion.
Again, was the infield fly rule
The
called
infield
by the
fly
umpire?
rule was called by the
so
umpire.
the batter is automatically out in this instance. And it seems to me that
got a double
Bigliotti did not realize or did not hear the fact that
He
the
did not see
umpire
it.
called the infield fly.
So they get a double play off of the infield fly to end the inning. That, I said it earlier, Joe. I've seen some unfamiliar things these last couple of weeks. That just adds to the total.
And honestly, if I'm head coach Mike Morrow, I'm pleading my case too, because these players out there, especially if you're running in a game like this where you're down by a couple of runs, you need to be able to hear the call, and it seems like there was utter confusion there, Nick.
And you'll even see it on the replay. The home plate umpire pointed up the one. Second base umpire pointed up the one as well. The Dolphins, unfortunately, not able to see it, and it cost them a double play ball. Will retire the side. So Rogers comes in relief and gets a very unfamiliar way of getting a double play, but he will get out of the third and keep Stack's lead at 6. We head to the top of the fourth. 4-2 lead for the Spartans, or 8-2 lead for the Spartans.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
Top of the fourth inning here at the CSI Sports Complex as Gerard Santos delivers a ball here, and it is Ryan Appel at the plate. Unfortunately, I personally do not have the live stats in front of me. My broadcast partner, Nick Bavona, had to temporarily step away, so I'm calling the action here. That's something that I didn't really expect to happen today, but let's go with it. Santos delivers a pitch again, and Appel swings through it for strike. So to end that last half inning, if you were just joining us, there was an infield fly rule called, and it was a CSI base runner that got caught, not realizing that the umpire had made that call, so that's why the Dolphins got doubled up to end the last half inning. Count 3-1 to Appel. Santos delivers. Appel swings through that and fouls it straight back. And now the count on Appel is full at 3-2. Santos delivers. And that pitch just misses. Looks like a little low, so Appel will take first base on the walk here. Spartans have their leadoff runner on here, as it is Michael Zeiss, the junior catcher here, with the runner on first. Nobody out. And that first pitch is high for a ball. So the count 1-0 to Zeiss.
All right, thank you, Joe. I had to tend to the room next door. The issue was, so the infield fly induced a double play. We were trying to see exactly who was involved on the double play. The first baseman, that being, I want to double check to make sure, that being Appel, he dropped the ball on the infield fly. That was regardless of him dropping it. It wasn't out at that play due to the infield fly. He then threw it over to the third baseman to Kress. He initially stepped on third, but the out wasn't going to be recorded at third. Because Vigliotti left second, the out was recorded at second. So it's an infield fly, double play, 3-5 on the putout to retire the side in that last half inning.
The accuracy is impeccable, Nick.
Like I mentioned, a very unusual way to get a double play ball, but that's exactly how they turned the double play to end that last half inning. And
unusual instances have followed us mostly all season.
Yeah, I always say it's never a dull moment when you call these games, either at baseball or softball. You seem to find something that you've never seen before, and that was certainly something that I've never seen happen before at any, professional or collegiate level.
And to make one more point, and then we'll move on from that play, is that ball was foul, and then whatever breeze or wind kind of carried that right back into fair territory. So this wasn't the case of the infielder getting under it and then letting it drop, and then chaos ensued after. There was a conscious effort, and that ball kind of landed between three of the Spartans fielders.
An unfortunate break for the Dolphins, as they weren't able to get anyone to score after getting that RBI from Vigliotti. They still trail this game by 6 here in the fourth. And now some early trouble for Gerard Santos in the inning. First and second, still nobody out. And Chris Ewing, who already has himself a big RBI hit in this game, will have a chance to bring home some more runs right here. There is action going up in the Dolphin bullpen as well. That is Andrew Osorio warming up in the CSI pen. Count now 1-1 here for Santos.
One of the things we've seen from Santos this season is a really effective changeup, and I think when he's at his best, he's utilizing that pitch a little more.
That one in there for a strike, 1-2. And
looked like a little bit of an off-speed pitch there, a little high, just roughly letters, maybe a little lower. Good location there, and that's kind of an example of what I was just saying.
And Santos was one of the guys, when the season started, you were looking forward to seeing how he would go after his great year he had last season for the team. But he's had a couple of bad breaks go his way these first couple of months of the season. And I mentioned it, that last relief appearance against Adelphi, probably his best outing of the year he's had so far. Had one bad break in that game as well, but he kept the Dolphins alive in that one to try to come back against the Panthers. They were not able to do so, but in this one here again, the Dolphins have had just some bad breaks go against them. As Ewing hits that one into center, Palomini is there. He will make the catch. And both runners will now tag, and there's now one away in the inning.
So Palomini was working his way back and then kind of had to take a couple of steps forward. So once again here, it's not really windy, but it is a little bit breezy, and I think just where we are, it's kind of affecting the fielders just a little bit.
And the breeze usually, whenever it's windy or it's breezy, will usually carry out into right center or into right field. That's where the American flag is kind of blowing towards, or was blowing towards at that moment. That one hit under the glove of Leno and into left field for a base hit. That will bring home one run. The bobble in left field for Waterman might cost the Dolphins a second run. It will allow the runner to move to second, so it will be a single and an error on the play. That will allow Stack to now take a 9-2 lead in this game via the RBI single from Joseph Scamardella.
So, Nick, this is partly me being down at softball today, not realizing the defensive configuration and what the Dolphins have done today. Usually Vincent Weigel is playing third base, but today we have TJ Leno playing third base. For this game, was that the case for game one? Okay.
Both games as well.
Gotcha.
Leno had a 3 extra base hit game in game one. Definitely earned the start here in game two, despite the lefty-lefty matchup.
Thank you for filling in the blanks for me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Count now goes to 0-1 here. And now 9-2 game for Stack. Dolphins move their infield in as well. Batter at the plate. It's Moscatella. He's now in a 1-1 count here. 9 unanswered runs for Stack in these last 3 innings. And they're looking for some more. It's still just 1 out. As the count now goes to 1-2.
Good pitch there from Santos. Good swing and miss.
Dolphins could really use a strikeout here to at least get out, get the second out of the inning. That one just foul tipped. Bad will continue.
Be very interesting to see the leash for Santos here because, as you mentioned, the Dolphins do have the bullpen going. Definitely one pitcher for sure.
I believe it's Andrew Osorio that's up in the bullpen for
you
CSI right now.
We'll wait and see to see if even after Osorio comes in, maybe the next inning or the inning after, the Dolphins immediately get the bullpen up again because that's the way it was last game.
It's 1-2 again here for Santos. That one just misses maybe a little bit too high, and the count will even at 2. And I think the other thing is also, Nick, that the Dolphins are trying to preserve their bullpen as well. You have a game on Monday, after the Easter holiday tomorrow. Then they're back in action on Thursday as well. So they'll have a couple days off in between their next two games. As that one's lined into left field, that one is in for a base hit. One run will score. The second runner will not go, as Ewing will hold up at third base. But it's another RBI hit for the Spartans. They now take a 10-2 lead off the RBI hit.
And that's Flashner at shortstop?
Yes.
Okay, so one more time. Was Flashner at shortstop for game one?
Dolphins with the same defensive alignment in this game except for behind the plate.
Okay.
Burrito getting the start in game 2. Giovanone got the start in game number 1.
Once again, thank you, Nick. Yeah, I mean, that ball was hit. That was a rocket. Flashner had no play. Made a great extension leap to try to make that catch, but just too high.
Even if normal depth on that play, there's no chance Flasher is going to make that catch.
Absolutely.
And I think for Santos, I think the Dolphins are at the point where they don't want to bring in Azoria just yet. You would like to see Santos at least try to get the second out.
Well, I think the idea is that you want Azoria to work out of a clean inning. So you just want Santos to come here and battle a little bit. And that play at third base that Leno couldn't quite make, that got underneath his glove, that was a little bit difficult there. So we'll see how much more leeway Morrow is going to give Santos here.
As I said before, day off tomorrow for Easter. Monday they're back at Stack to wrap up this 4-game series. As that wild pitch will bring home another run. And it's now an 11-2 lead for the Spartans in this game. Bad breaks continuing for CSI in this game. They were able to avoid the bad breaks in game 1 after a 3-error first inning. They were able to stay in that one. Took advantage of some Stack errors as well, but this game has gotten well out of the way for them in this one. And now 9-run deficit here in the top of the 4th. And that one's in there for a strike to Potenza. Now the count goes to 3-1. We'll say thankful the breeze is somewhat happening. It was getting very brutally hot up here earlier.
You know, today was really interesting because, once again, it was pretty pleasant weather-wise out the whole day. And
outside it was, yeah.
And then the clouds came, sun dipped, and it cleared up again, and now we're basically mostly cloudy here. But, again, the sun is still peeping through in certain spots. But when it comes to weather, I think these last 2.5 days have been absolutely spectacular, especially for this time in April.
Probably the best 2 days we've had back-to-back all year. So I don't want to say foul, not a play.
That's going to reach us. No, it's not.
Nice catch.
Good catch.
Yeah, nice round of applause, not only here in the press box, but, of course, down in the seats.
They can't hear me.
Well, I mentioned it earlier. Great turnout today for both doubleheaders.
Yes.
Great turnout at softball, of course, for Senior Day. We had a great turnout as well here for baseball. I'm sure on Thursday for Heroes Day, that'll be an even better turnout at SIUH Community Park. Heroes Day usually a big spectacle for the Dolphins, and that one will be a very nice day on Thursday night. And we as well know for softball, they're ending their season next week. 2 more games on Tuesday, 2 more games next Saturday. And by then, Joe, we'll know the Dolphins' fate this year for the playoffs. We talked about it a few minutes ago about their scenarios. We'll talk about it again in a second. As the Dolphins are able to turn the 6-4-3 double play to retire the side. But before we go to break, the scenarios that I mentioned for the Dolphins this season follows for CSI and for softball. If the Dolphins on Tuesday sweep Mercy, they will need to take 1 or 2 games from Deauville next Saturday. If they lose both games to Mercy on Tuesday, they will have to sweep Deauville next Saturday. If they take 1 of 2 from the Mavericks on Tuesday, they will still have to sweep the Saints next Saturday here at the softball complex. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming back from our commercial break. It's now an 11-2 lead for Stack, heading to the bottom of the 4th.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
Anthony Terra will lead it off here at the bottom of the fourth. He gets a pinch hit at bat. And now 11-2 lead for Sac in this game. Count now 1-1.
Tara doing a nice job getting out of the way. Unfortunately, could not get out of the way of that one.
And
He is hit by the pitch, and he will take first base.
Yeah, he will certainly take first base. Dolphins will get an early base runner here to start off the fourth. It's still Kyle Rogers out there for the Spartans here in this inning. As TJ Leno will come up to the plate. Dolphins looking for some kind of rally here, Joe. They're down to their last couple of outs, as I mentioned in this game. 7-inning game in this contest between the two teams. CSI down to effectively their last 12 outs in this one.
Well, it's like I said, always try to chip away when you can. Still a lot of game left. We've seen scenarios this year where the Dolphins have been down by as many as 8 to 10 runs within a matter of few innings, have been able to chop
that
off
might
the total.
help, but it is caught in right field. Leno gave that a good ride.
Yes, he did.
But Mascatella was right there at the right place at the right time. And it's a loud out number one.
Nothing worse than hitting the ball right on the screws. And, I mean, that's a nice play by the right field. He's got to come over a little bit. So, one out here for the Dolphins. And, Nick, I wanted to make mention because the senior stuff day, the senior day stuff with the women's softball team, I wanted to just give a shout-out to the girls. So, one player who is no longer with the Dolphins, Sabrina Caffel, as that pitch.
Hit foul. They got a play past the press box, I'm going to assume.
It was past the press box, did not quite reach the bleachers this time.
All right.
But as I was mentioning, Sabrina Caffel, who's no longer with the program, she was honored today. Starting pitcher, Alexis Miramontes, first baseman, Anissa Acosta, and center fielder, Mariah Carcano. So the families were there. We had a really nice day. Again, the sun was out for them. They split. They won game one. They lost game two, but I figured give them a little shout out on the broadcast. Maybe we'll cut it for them, chop it up, and send it their way. And
I'm sure they're
they'll be excited
appreciative
to
of
hear
it.
about that.
I'm sure they are appreciative of those kind words that you gave them. Of course, you had some great conversations with them down in Florida for their spring games trip that they had earlier on in the season. Senior Day, always a nice spectacle here for the Dolphins, whether it's here at the softball complex, the baseball complex, the basketball teams, the soccer teams. It's always good to see Senior Day here at CSI. Another great showing for the Dolphins on Senior Day today. And they still have a couple more games left in the season. And as you and I already mentioned a few minutes ago before we went to break, their season really relies on what happens on Tuesday going into next Saturday. And if they can win some of those games, they'll at least give those seniors a chance to keep their careers going, as well as give them their first playoff berth. As Brito hits that one into center, but a nice catch out in center field by Potenza, and there is now 2 away.
Once again, ball hit on a line right at the center fielder. Brito doing a nice job there. He's had a couple of nice hits with me in the booth this season. Really good contact, but unfortunately, right at the center fielder, we have 2 outs here. And to complete that point about Senior Day today and everything, one thing here at the College of Staten Island when it comes to our athletics department, whether it's women's or men's basketball, whether it's our swimming and diving teams, our track, baseball, softball, we always do a great job honoring the student athletes.
Play is made over at first base in time. That will retire the side. And going back to that point as well, Joe, we had some great conversations yesterday with some of the players' families at softball. Some very kind words for our softball broadcast. We've also had those same kind words here from some of the families here at baseball. We appreciate everyone tuning in each and every week as well during either basketball season, soccer season, and, of course, baseball and softball season for this 2024 and 2025 season. We had the commercial break going into the top of the fifth inning. Sac leads this game 11-2.
NCAA athletes don't just compete, they make history. Representing our nation with pride and excellence, they bring home the hardware. Our college campuses serve as training grounds for the next generation of stars. Catch tomorrow's Olympians and Paralympians on the NCAA Championship stage today.
And we are back here for the top of the fifth inning. 11-2 lead for Stack. A couple changes for the Dolphins in the field as well as on the mound. Andrew Osorio's first pitch in relief is swung on a miss for a strike. 0-1 is the count. In left field for the Dolphins now is John Harrington. And we saw Anthony Sotero get a pinch hit at bat last half inning. He's now at shortstop for the Dolphins in this inning. As that one's drilled out into right center field. But Keogh makes the long run, makes the catch. And there is one gone here in the fifth.
That ball was hit just to the right spot, but elevated a little too much.
Kyle DeCrest now comes up, one down in the inning. That last hit ball was hit by DeMarco. Give you Azoria's stats as well in the season in just a moment. Allen misses for a ball. The count goes to 1-0. For Azoria on the season, this is going to be. It would help if I went to the pitching stats, Joe. He is right now on the air. This will be his, I believe, his first appearance of the year. And it is. Zoria getting his first pitching, which I feel like is wrong. But
I feel like that's wrong, too. I feel like he's been in the game. I feel like
he definitely
maybe the
has
last
been.
game I did public address here.
He definitely has been in the game, unless I'm just missing it, which I don't see it.
We'll double check that. Because that didn't sound right as soon as you said it either. But
maybe that is the
case.
case. So Azoria, if the stats are correct, which they should be, I hope they are. Unless Joe Foreman's going to have another word about it. But he would be on for his first inning of relief this season, as it's now a one-out walk he issues right here.
Yeah, I was going to say Foreman's too busy in a car somewhere. He's not even paying attention to what's going on right now. But,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, the last time I was here at the CSI Baseball Complex a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, when I did public address for a game, I believe Morrow, head coach Mike Morrow, used 7 pitchers that day.
Yeah,
so,
I could have swore he pitched, as you said, most recently.
Well, he was 1 of the 7. I think he pitched 1 inning. So, again, we'll double-check that. But it's possible that we're wrong.
It's possible. I made some fair mistakes in my broadcasting tenure.
This is the part of the broadcast where if Nick Durst was here, he'd be like, nope, I'm right.
Yeah, no, he's pitched. That's true. We played your commercial a bunch of times here today. Now, he did pitch against Delphi. He pitched just recently. So, I'm not certain. Unless I'm missing something. Unless I just completely missed the name, which I'm not seeing. And now it's updated. Okay, we're good now.
Okay.
It wasn't updated originally. Maybe I accidentally clicked the wrong year, so apologies in advance. But this is Azoria's 6th appearance of the season.
There you go. That
4
sounds
2/3
right.
of an inning.
That's
so
right.
he has pitched. I knew something was up because I knew we just most recently saw him a couple days ago.
Well, let's reset here. The count is 0-2 as that pitch is fouled off to the left side.
Brito having to fix the equipment behind the plate. As you mentioned, now an 0-2 count here. 1 down in the inning. Right around first base. Half swing, did he go? That was indeed the case, strike 3. But the wild pitch will allow the runner to go to second base. So Appel is down on the strikeout for the second out of the inning. Moving into second base is DeCrest.
I'm going to give you a little knowledge here on the broadcast. If you're ever looking for a check swing, if you're going to see if the batter completed the process and went through, always look at the wrists. If the wrists break, that batter in particular went.
They call you Coach Cal for a reason.
That's right.
No, another famous Coach Cal, but that's a different sport.
That is a different sport for a different time, different season.
Yeah, unfortunately ruined my St. John's season this year. Not happy about that earlier on in March.
I thought that St. John's team had the opportunity to really go to the Final Four.
Yeah,
but
you and me both.
It's just 1 year of the turnaround, and I love what Rick Pitino is doing.
Expecting big things next year in 2025/2026, so we'll see what happens with that. Count now goes to 0-2 here. Mike Zeiss is the batter. Trying to set the inning for the Spartans. They've put up 11 runs in the past 3 innings. 3 in the second, 5 in the third, 3 in the fourth. That one sails over Brito's glove, and that will allow DeCrest to go to third base.
So that is a wild pitch.
I think a big emphasis on wild.
And that was a big turn at third base, too.
Yeah, Zoria wasn't covering home initially. Brito wisely did not throw the ball towards third. I was telling Joe earlier as well, we had a very unusual rundown that happened as well, where one rundown turned into two rundowns. It was a weird way to stat it for us. So, like I mentioned, it's been a very unusual day here at the baseball complex. As Azoria gets the strikeout to end the fifth inning, he'll strand the runner on third. We head to the bottom of the fifth. Dolphins trail the game 11-2.
If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Bottom half of the fifth here at the CSI Baseball Complex. An 11-2 lead still for Sac in this game. And Kyle Rogers has returned himself another inning of relief. He'll face the top of the CSI starting lineup. As he misses with that first pitch in for a ball 1-0. Palomini, Kehoe, Vigliotti here in the fifth. That one fouled off. Another game here where we have the lights on. Joe and I talked about this last game. We probably had more games this season where the lights have had to turn on here at the baseball complex than we probably have had in the last 3 years combined.
It seems like the baseball and the softball games, for softball, it definitely feels like all those games are going at least 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Today kind of moved nice and quick.
Palomini drills that one into center, and that one is gone. He has done it again, Joe. His 13th home run of the season, second one today, and he's now one home run away from tying the all-time record. It's 11-3.
What is that, his 14th now of the season?
13 now. He's
13,
one away
13.
from tying the
Gotcha.
record at 14.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying
He is
that.
very close.
You know where he hit that? In the
That's-
hardest part of this ballpark to hit a baseball out. That's
Yes.
exactly where he hit it. And from my perspective, I've seen Palomini play all season. Once again, I was here for that game where he hit 3 home runs. He's got power to all fields.
Jack Kehoe hits that one foul behind the plate. You mentioned it. That is the toughest part in the park, to hit a home run dead center. I think that went over the batter's box in center field
It
as
did.
well.
Right. It was, what was it, slightly to the right?
It might have been. I didn't
Yeah.
see exactly where it landed. But that is probably one of the furthest home runs we've seen hit here all year.
That's probably Chris Palomini's most well-hit ball all season.
And he's had a couple that has been hit into left center, a couple into right, and this one was drilled out into dead center to now make it an 11-3 game. And as you and I just mentioned before, that home run now puts him at 13 on the season. He is now one home run away from tying the all-time record, which was 14, hit back by Jason Anarumo back in 1997.
That foul ball went over the bleacher set in down the left field line. Not entirely sure if it was caught in the trees. There were a couple of eyeballs looking at that.
Keogh drills that one into right field, and a nice catch out in right field for Mascatello. And it's a long out number 1 recorded.
He had to make that catch at the warning track. Unfortunately, Keogh just missed a home run there.
Now, another stat as well, Joe, with that home run and that RBI, 2 RBIs in this game for Palomini. He is now tied for the 7th most RBIs in a single season. 1 more RBI will put him into a tie for 6th place on the year.
Very, very nice.
It has been a historic mark, and that is considering the fact that he broke a record last year on the base path with his stolen bases. He is now doing it with his bat this season as Vigliotti is hit by the pitch.
Very angrily throws his bat.
Yeah, that one's going to sting on the inside.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 19, J.J. Hunter.
And I have to look as well, what is the best batting average a player has had in just a single season? Because Palomini has made the case for that as well.
Broadcast, public address, stats, historian. I mean, is there anything you don't do, Nick Pavona?
I don't know. Hopefully, I just keep it that way. Don't make any mistakes along the way. Looking at the all-time record, the best batting average for a season, it looks like, was .462, it looks like.
Okay.
That looks like an individual career, so I'm looking for single season. There it is. .509. That was back in 1998, so he's not close to that, unfortunately, but it still has to be commended for what he's done this year in terms of batting average.
Still an impressive overall season.
Still
and
been.
Once again, listen, he hits leadoff for a reason, right? He gets the most at-bats for a reason. He can hit for contact. He hits for power. One of the best fielders on this team. Fields his position excellently. Great base runner. Very difficult to find players like Chris Palomini.
Hunter down swinging on that one. The count, or I should say, it's now 2 outs in the inning. John Harrington will get his first at bat of the day. And coming into this game, Joe, Palomini's batting average after game 1, where the stats were updated after that, his batting average is .376 coming into this one. He has now hit 2 home runs in this contest. So that batting average has gone up once again. Count 1-0 for Harrington. As I mentioned, his first at bat of the night came in as a defensive substitution.
There was a misplay by Jaden Waterman in the inning before, and I think Coach Morrow just wanted to see what he had with Harrington here. Again, what was an 8-run lead.
You usually see the Dolphins in the spot where they're down a couple runs. They give some of their other hitters a chance in the lineup.
Right.
Maybe provide a spark as the game goes on and see if you can make this rally. But you mentioned it. Waterman had not the best start in this game, too, but he still has made a nice impact this week. I mentioned earlier on, hit his first career home run back on Thursday against Stack, a 3-run homer that effectively put the Dolphins into a nice, comfortable lead against the Spartans in that game.
Yes, his home run on Thursday was incredibly important.
As down goes Harrington on the punch-out, and that will retire the side. So the Dolphins do strand a runner here in this inning, but the Dolphins do get another big hit from Chris Palomini. A towering fly ball into center field, number 13 on the season for him. 1 home run away from tying the all-time record. If the Dolphins get a couple extra at-bats, Joe, we might be able to see that happen tonight.
We might be able to see it. Maybe be one more chance. But it is the Dolphins trailing 11-3 heading into the top of the 6th.
As indeed the case, we head to the top of the 6th. 11-3 lead for Stack.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Chris Ewing will lead it off here in the top of the 6th inning. It is a 11-3 game now after Chris Palomini hit his 13th home run of the season. Joe, you and I were just discussing it during our last half break as that one's chopped towards third and that one's into left field for a base hit. Chris Ewing is on with a leadoff single to start off the 6th inning. But going back to that point I was just about to make, we talked about the year he's had. 13 home runs. He's 1 home run away from tying the record, 2 from breaking the record, and it just so happens with his father being honored on Thursday for Heroes Day. I mentioned to you what happened last year. Not only did Chris hit a home run, his brother Matt, who was a pitcher last year, also hit a home run in his first ever plate appearance. So they honored their father in a great way last year. Chris has a chance to not only honor his father with a record-tying home run, but a potential record-breaking 2-homer game on Thursday night.
So we'll wait to see if Palomini gets one more at-bat today to see if he has the opportunity to do that. But if not, I will most likely be on the broadcast with Mr. Joe Foreman on Thursday.
All eyes on Thursday, that's the case.
All eyes on Thursday. That'd be an excellent call.
And regardless, it's still all eyes regardless if there was not a record in sight on that one. As we mentioned, Heroes Day, always a great sight and a great game to call that single game against Felician on Thursday night. But going back to your point, I think it's just the fact that, to have the opportunity to do that back-to-back years down to your father in a way like that would be a great sight to see if Chris is able to do that on Thursday night. We'll get to see if that's the case. But you mentioned it as well. The Dolphins down 8 in this game. It would take a lot for them to give Chris maybe one more home run opportunity here tonight. But I always say it with Joe, you never say never with this team, as Osorio gets the strikeout for the first out of the inning here. And it's another multi-homer game as well for Chris on the season. Does it once again. If he's able to get up one more time, he could maybe tie his own record with his 3rd home run of a game.
Yep.
We'll have to see if the Dolphins can spark some type of rally to give Chris that chance, as the pickoff attempt was not in time. Zoyer gets another inning of relief after pitching in that previous inning. As Mascatella at the plate. He's now in a 1-2 count. Had to double check to make sure we had the right number at the plate for a second. Looked like a 26 for a second, but 26
looked like
is
a 26 to me, too. I don't know if you caught me. I
Yeah.
kind of put my glasses down looking at that as that ball is hit well to left field.
And Harrington, who's we mentioned, checked into the game last inning, gets an early work play into left field and gets the second out. It did look like it, I can tell you that. I was with you on that. But Ryan Callahan, who is number 26, is listed as a pitcher, so unless they gave him a swing, which I doubt it, looks like that was the right case on that play.
Andrew Osorio done a nice job since he's entered the game.
Potenza hits that one. Pass into left field, and that is another single for the Spartans in this game.
So it's the second hit we've seen in this inning where a ball was well placed right between the third baseman and the shortstop, perfectly hit in the hole. Unfortunately, there was nothing either fielder could really do about either of those hits. But as I mentioned, I still think Osorio, since he's entered the game, has done a really, really good job, and there are 2 outs, Nick.
Dolphins will have a chance to at least escape the damage without giving up a run. But it's back to the top of the lineup for the Spartans. It's Ryan Hillary. Now it misses for a ball count 1-0. Hillary's had a nice day at the plate for Stack in this one. 2 RBI hit earlier on in this game. A couple of hits as well in game number 1. That one in there for a strike, 1-1 now the count. Dolphins have already had an 8-run inning earlier in this doubleheader. To keep it within 8, you have to think that it's going to be tough to get a second 8-run inning, but as I mentioned, never say never with this team, the way this season has gone. So that one's chopped down the third base line and foul, and the count goes to 1-2. So Zoria now one strike away from escaping the damage. It's straying the two base runners on base. Gets a look towards second. The 1-2. On the outside for a ball. Count even now at 2 apiece. It's now a 2-2 count here for Azoria. Gets another look at second. And that one's fouled behind the plate. Some nice, interesting conversations going on next door, Joe.
I'm hearing the same thing. As that pitch is called strike 3, Spartans not agreeing necessarily with the call, but once again, Andrew Azoria, excellent job since he's entered the game, Nick.
Great strikeout for Azoria right there. To strand the two base runners on base here in the top of the 6th. We head to the home 6 with the Dolphins trailing 11-3. We've already heard Joe Calabrese talk for the last couple of minutes. Now I get to see his face at this next commercial break.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Anthony's Terrell lead off here in the home 6, an 11-3 lead for Stack still in this game. A pitching change as well was made by the Spartans. Jeremiah Vega is on in relief. And you have to think, Joe, with 6 outs left in this game, he will try to at least get the final 6 outs to give Stack this victory.
That would be a good assumption. However, I do see the Spartans.
They do have a pitcher warming up. That is true.
They do have a pitcher warming up in the bullpen, so that could be backup to the backup.
Could be a worst-case scenario if he's not able to get the 6.
Right.
You and I, of course, were looking at our watch. We also have to be very aware of the Knicks starting in a few minutes. They have their first-round playoff game against the Detroit Pistons, tipping off in, I think, around 10 minutes. So
big shout-out to all the pro wrestling fans as well. WrestleMania
tonight, yeah.
Las Vegas starts at 7.
That's why Joe Foreman wasn't able to join me at the end of for the start of this game, as well with you and I. He's on his way to Long Island for that WrestleMania watch party. 2-1 to Satara in there for a strike, 2-2 the count. I said, thankfully for me, I only have about a 5-minute drive from my watch party, so I won't miss much. Shouldn't miss any at this point unless the Dolphins spark an absolute insane rally, which for the CSI faithful, they would love to have that happen. Not saying I would have loved that to happen as well.
No,
but
we would
of course,
absolutely all love it to happen.
I am a biased announcer, so I don't want to show any bias towards either team and what happens. But
listen,
for us, yes, it's a big night.
I made this point a couple of innings ago. We've seen maybe 3 or 4 times this season where CSI has, I would say at least 6 or 7 runs, but they've been down 8 to 10 runs in a game in a few times, and they've been able to chip away. As the Dolphins,
They get the leadoff walk. Satara, that will definitely help kickstart any type of rally. And we've already seen TJ Lena with some big extra base hits here today. Had a nice ripper in the right field last time, but it was a line drive. You would love to get one going right here. That one misses on the outside for a ball. 1-0 the count.
the public address announcer in me is trying hard not to say the names as Lou is saying the names.
I know. You have to think about it for a second before you say it.
Right.
Cal now goes to 2-0. For Vega on the year, his 11th appearance. He's 0-1 with 1 save. He's pitched 14 2/3, 16 hits, 8 runs, 7 earned, 9 walks, 7 strikeouts, and an ERA of 4.3. Down 2-1.
That was a nice pitch on the outer half of the plate there. Caught the corner. Dolphins here in the first 2 batters doing a good job taking pitches.
And now it misses low for ball 3. 3-1 to count.
You know what the coach in me always says?
Do you give him the green light here, let him swing?
You know, it's a difficult spot, but if you want to put runners on, I would have to hold him.
See what they do on 3-1.
He
does swing, and that will be a pop-up in the infield. Ewing is there. He makes the catch, and there's one down in the inning. So 1 down will now bring up Brito. And you know, I talked about it earlier. You could just hear that microphone, no matter the PA and mic, wherever you are on Victory Boulevard or even on campus. There's no way you can't hear it.
There's no way you can't hear me. My voice, especially if it's the middle of the day.
Yes.
I hear my echo, and it's bad. Or good, depending on your perspective.
Brito hits that one into right field, and that one will be caught by Mascatella out in right. I believe that is Mascatella. That might be a single digit out there. Maybe there was a substitution that I didn't see.
I don't think there has been a defensive substitution in center.
It was Scam Mardella. Apologies for that. Mascatella was in right first game. He's in left field game 2. Scam Mardella is the one that makes the catch out there for the second out of the inning. But, yeah, going back to your point about the microphone, I had a friend that he's on campus still. He's earning his bachelor's degree. He says he can hear the microphone from the classrooms.
That's a good thing.
And I said, okay, that sounds like a good thing, but is that distracting you is the question. And he said no comment. So.
Ooh. Looks like I'm going to have to be a little bit lower, huh?
No, it's not even you. It's just the volume of the microphone. It's nothing to do with even when I was doing the PA, my voice was booming loud, and I knew it. It comes down to the volume of the microphone, and the players love it. We're at the end of the day, we do this for the players, the music, and the PA introductions. We have to accommodate them for what they would like, and they get, a nice loud mic in terms of music, and of course for our PA introductions.
Yeah, sometimes the volume needs to be adjusted.
Count now goes 3-1, and Joe, look who's on deck.
Yes.
Chris Palomini will have one. I talked about the math earlier. He will get one more at bat. He's got a chance to tie the record here with another 3-homer game.
That ball's going to hit a car? No. Almost.
Won't hit a car. Thankfully, we didn't have our pitcher-batter camera up today. That would have been a little bit too close for comfort.
Do you remember the foul ball that came up here and hit the camera?
Oh, yeah, I do.
It happened.
I am shocked that camera is still working. You guys used it for softball today. I am stunned it still works.
Ball's hit to right center.
And that was not caught in right field off of the glove of Scam Mardella. That will allow the run to score. That will most likely go down as an RBI single for the Dolphins on that play. And they now trail this game 11-4.
I would definitely credit that as an RBI single. I think that's an excellent effort by the right fielder to extend and try to make that play. However, that was a very difficult play nonetheless. He's got to run a little bit. He's got to go full extension. Did not make the play. So If Foreman was here, I would
He would
give
agree
my
with you.
input.
He would
But
agree with us.
nonetheless,
Not an
Chris
easy play.
Palomini.
So we've already talked about it, folks. He is 1 home run away from tying the all-time record for most home runs in the season. If he were to do it in this at-bat, it would be the second time this season he's hit 3 home runs in a game.
Second time he's hit 3 home runs. Well, second time if does it, that I would be here.
Yes. And, of course, that is a record already itself, hit that home run mark in 1 game. With him hitting 3 in 1 game, I'll have to double-check once again to make sure he tied the record for most homers in a game.
I believe he tied the record, and I believe he tied multiple players. Is
Yes.
it 2
Jason Anarumo, who he would tie for the home run record. And it doesn't look like he's going to get it right there. That one's hit into right field. Scan Mardella is there, and that will end the inning. So, Joe, unless the Dolphins spark some type of a rally in the 7th, that'll be Palomini's last at-bat of the day here. So we have a potential history-making watch on Thursday for Heroes Day, depending on the Dolphins' comeback in the 7th. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back from commercial break. It's now an 11-4 lead for Stack as we head to the top of the 7th.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we are back for the top of the 7th inning. Stack looks to add to their 7-run lead as they look to take the split of this doubleheader between them and the Dolphins here at the CSI Baseball Complex. First pitch to Anthony DeMarco skips in the dirt for a ball. Count goes to 1-0. And, Joe, it's another inning of relief for Andrew Rosario, who you mentioned has had a nice day out of relief for the Dolphins in the last 2 innings.
Yes, he has. Dolphins weren't warming up anybody again in the bullpen as this one's chopped to first.
And the Yankee fan in me almost cringed for a second, but Rosario did a good job of covering the bag at first base. You got the flip from Vigliotti, and there's now 1 away.
It was one of those in-betweens where Vigliotti started walking the ball, and then Osorio kind of sped up, and Osorio had to hustle a little bit to beat the runner down the first base line, but he did. And one quick out here to start the top of the 7th for the Dolphins.
Well, the Dolphins will need a big-time rally in the bottom half of the 7th inning, down to their final 3 outs, if they want to have a chance to tie this game, maybe even steal this win. Definitely steal the win is definitely the word for it. And sweep the doubleheader and would put Stack in a really uncomfortable spot for the remainder of their season with only one more conference game against the Dolphins this week. And then, of course, their end of their season 4-game series against Queens at the beginning of May. It's now 1-1 for Rosario here. And it misses on the inside for a ball. The batter is Kyle DeCrest. The 2-1. That one hit towards short. Tatera's there. Takes a long throw in, but makes the throw in time. And there's now 2 gone.
You know, he double clutched a little bit, and I thought on the second clutch it was going to make the play a little more difficult at first, but he fielded it cleanly. It wasn't necessarily an easy hop. It was a little bit of a high hop, but a nice play by Tatera, who once again was a replacement for Michael Flash in a couple of innings earlier. So the Dolphins here now have 2 outs.
Swing and a miss right there. The count goes to 0-1. Trying to see the exact number at the plate. I believe this is Ryan Appel, and it is. Appel batting with 2 gone in the inning. 0-1 count, and now make it 1-1. Nobody on, 2 outs in the inning. Dolphins looking for another clean inning right here from Missouri. That one misses high and outside. 2-1 now the count. 2-1. That one hit out into left. Harrington on the run. He will make the catch, and that will retire the side. So a nice job out of the bullpen for Andrew Azoria. He gives the Dolphins 3 scoreless innings in this game as they now head into the bottom of the 7th looking for a big-time rally. They're down to their final 3 outs as they trail this game 11-4.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Dolphins down to their final 3 outs here in the home 7th. Jack Keel leads it off and takes a first pitch strike. The count goes to 0-1. 2, 3, and 4 up for the Dolphins in this inning. And Joe, as we mentioned, they will need a big-time rally in this 7th inning to at least tie the game and maybe even walk it off if they can do so. But that second pitch, I should say, is hit a mile high in the infield and caught by DeCrest over at third base. And there is one away. A.J. Vigliotti now up with 1 gone in the inning. And, Joe, I mentioned this as well earlier on in the broadcast. The loss necessarily does not hurt the Dolphins at the end of the day. If they do drop this game, they would fall to 8-7 in conference play. Would be a half game up on Mercy for the 2nd seed in the ECC standings. This game meant a lot to Stack. They will go to 5-10 if they hold on to win this game, considering right now 2 games back in the win column behind Deauville, who holds that last spot. 4 games back in the loss column, so they really need this game more than ever. They are now 2 outs away from getting it. This Vigliotti now has a 2-0 count.
Vigliotti, who got hit by a pitch his last plate appearance, quickly getting ahead in the count 2-0. When it comes to Bavona Math, I'll take Bavona Math over Scott Steiner Math any day of the week and twice on Sundays. Speaking of Sundays,
I don't know. Steiner Math is pretty good.
Speaking of Sundays, to those out there who are listening and watching, to those out there who celebrate and acknowledge a holiday, we wish you all a happy Easter tomorrow.
Yes, of course. was able to make that point before I hopped off the softball I was a podcast for a second.
Right.
The broadcast for softball a few hours ago, but of
you
course,
ran that I'm right podcast there before.
yeah,
It's still stuck in your head.
I did get into my head for a second as Viglii works the 1 hour walk. But going to your point, Joe, of course, we would like to wish everyone here on the baseball side of things a very happy Easter. Easter, of course, tomorrow, Sunday for us. Not only Easter, but WrestleMania Sunday as well. So it's going to be a very busy Sunday for you and I, as well as Joe Foreman here on Sportsnet. But from all of us here at Sportsnet, we would like to wish everyone a very happy Easter tomorrow. Hopefully everyone enjoys their Easter Sunday. JJ Hunter, a batter ahead. That might be an game-ending double play, and that will be the case. 4-6-3 on the double play. We'll end this contest here at the baseball complex as Stack will at least get a split of the doubleheader between them and the Dolphins. The final score, 11-4 win for the Spartans. They now go to 5-10 in conference play, get their 10th win of the season. The Dolphins with the loss dropped to 8-7 in conference play. But as we just talked about, Joe, the loss doesn't necessarily hurt CSI at the end of the day. They still have one more conference game against Stack on Monday, back at Stack. And then they end their conference season against Deauville in a couple weeks' time. Stack, meanwhile, they still have some work to do. One conference game left against the Dolphins on Monday, and then they end their conference season against Queens that exact same week they play Deauville. So Stack not only will need to beat the Dolphins on Monday, they'll need the Dolphins' help at the end of the season. Your final thoughts before we wrap this one up here tonight.
Nick, once again, thank you for roping me in, pulling me in here, letting me join the broadcast. I believe I came on in the third inning.
Yes, I think so, too.
We had a lot of fun here. More than likely, I will be on the broadcast on Thursday with Joe Foreman. As we mentioned, Chris Palomini will be looking for history.
Yes.
CSI still has a lot to play for. Once again, one more shout-out, Senior Day to the women's softball team. They also have much to play for this week. So as the weather here is taking a turn for the better here as we approach the nice part of spring, heading into the summer, the baseball teams and softball teams still very much in their own respective playoff races. It's an exciting time here. But once again, the Dolphins, after winning the first game of the doubleheader here, losing the second game 11-4, a couple nice takeaways. Like we mentioned, Andrew Zoria came on for 3 innings, and he looked excellent there out of the bullpen. So interesting to see how Mike Morrow will decide to utilize his pitching staff on Monday. But one more time, all those who celebrate, enjoy the Easter tomorrow, enjoy the holiday, enjoy the rest of your weekends. And for everybody here, we had a really, really awesome day. The weather held out very, very nicely. We had a doubleheader for softball, doubleheader for baseball. So once again, kudos to all the College of Staten Island employees for making everything happen and for making this day really great.
A great day here at both baseball and softball. Both teams getting a split of their respective doubleheaders. For us here at CSI Sportsnet, the next time we will be live is Tuesday. The Dolphins playing their biggest doubleheader of the year, Joe, against Mercy. The Dolphins realistically might need to take both games to have a chance. But if they lose one game and take the other, they still are mathematically alive. A big doubleheader on Tuesday against the Mavericks. For baseball, they are back at Stack on Monday. As you mentioned, on Thursday, they will be at SIUH Community Park. They take on Felician University in the Heroes Day game. A great spectacle. And as you mentioned as well, it could be a history-breaking day for the Dolphins center fielder, Chris Palomini. He is now 2 home runs away from breaking the all-time record for most home runs in a season by a Dolphins player. Will he have the chance on Thursday night? We'll have to tune in to that game and find out to see what happens. But from all of us here at the College of Staten Island for CSI Sportsnet, we thank you for tuning in to tonight's coverage of the Dolphins and the Spartans. Once again, the final score in game number 2, 11-4. Stack gets the victory. As Joe mentioned as well, happy Easter, everyone who celebrates on Sunday, and we'll see you on Tuesday for the Dolphins to take it on the Mavericks.